Hi everybody. My topic today is challenging mental models about assessment. And I'm going to start by discussing why we need to challenge mental models. And I'm basing myself on Peter Senge's work. And because he says that our mental models are theories about the way the world works, and they influence our actions. And if we do not examine our mental models, we are not able to change. We are only able to change our mental models when we examine them. So we really need to challenge and to examine people's mental models on assessment if we want them to change their mental models. So why do we have, I'm going to focus now on Brazil then, and to discuss why we have our current mental models on assessment, the reasons why we have this pervasive mental model on assessment. And one of the first reasons is that we are pretty much grade oriented in our country. And that has to do with the way students are selected to get into university. It has to do with the way we tend to want to rank private schools, and parents want to enroll their students in the schools that have the best results, even though these results and these rankings are not done according to great psychometric rules. So, but anyway, that's what people value. We also have a public school annual evaluation system, a culture of teaching to the test that I think is very ingrained in our society. We have this long-standing belief that students need to memorize a great amount of content. Our school system is very much focused on content and memorization and not on developing skills. We also have a fierce competition to get into a good university. We have a national examination. So this leads us to have certain beliefs about assessment. So I'm going to then talk about 8 mental models that keep us from changing how we assess students. And these mental models come from things I've heard from students and from teachers, okay? So the first mental model is the harder the test, the more students learn. So we think that students learn because of a test, not because we engage them in meaningful experiences, not because we provide opportunities for them to use what they're learning in a meaningful way that they're going to use in the greatest test, in the most important test in life, which is in real life. So we think, and people think, and students think mostly, that you have to have a very hard test, and that the test has to be more challenging than what the students do in class in order for this test to be effective, and in order for the school to be effective. Another mental model that I think needs to change is that test or assessment items cannot be similar to the ones I did in class. I hear this from students. They have to be more challenging. So the students do a certain types of activities in class, they do certain types of exercises in class, but they expect the test to have other types of items, to have something tricky, to have something surprising, something they've never seen before. And when they come across a test that simply reproduces what they did in class and just wants to check if they have mastered that, they think it's too easy. And then they think that they're not learning enough because it's too easy. So they have this idea that tests have to be something that they can never achieve, that has to be really beyond what they do in the classroom, and it shouldn't, and that it doesn't, it can't be aligned with what they do in the classroom. Another mental model that is really, and it's mostly with adults, is that in assessments of direct oral and written performance, grammar is not tested. We face this challenge with our adult students a lot. They think that they're only learning grammar and only being assessed, and their grammar is only being assessed when they have discrete grammar items on the tests, items of fill in the blanks or multiple choice that clearly and explicitly deal with grammar. When they do an oral presentation, or when they engage in a dialogue and then they receive feedback from the teacher, or when they do a piece of writing, they don't think that they're using grammar, that they're practicing grammar, and they don't think they're being assessed in grammar, even though there are rubrics that address grammar explicitly, but they still don't think that that's grammar, because grammar needs to be assessed by way of discrete items. And this prevents us from using more performance types of assessment in our classrooms. Another mental model is a good test is one that accumulates content. You can't teach a little amount of content in tests. That's not good enough. I have to accumulate a lot of content and then spend 2 days cramming for the test. And that's when I feel that I have taken a good test. A good test is also one that differentiates excellent, mediocre, and failing students. We still have this belief that we have to have excellent grades, mediocre grades, and failing grades. If we don't have this, the test is not effective. In my point of view, this means that the teaching was not effective, because effective teaching with an effective test that really assesses only what students have learned, and when students have had enough opportunities to practice, to master what they're learning, everybody should excel on the test. Another item another mental model that is very present is that students who do not turn in their work on time should get a 0 or have some points discounted from their grades. I know this is very controversial, and this has been discussed a lot in the US. And what happens is that when we give a student a 0, this masks the result of the student, because you will see a student with a grade that doesn't really show this student's proficiency, what the student knows about the learning outcomes that you are presenting. So it disguises the result. So we have to find other ways to encourage students to turn in their work on time, to want to be assessed, to want to progress, or maybe this work that we're assigning them is not meaningful to them, but not in the sense of giving them zeros. Zeros do not help anybody. Okay, so I know this is very controversial, but look this up and read about this a little more. You will see very compelling arguments about zeros and discounting grades. Another one is that grades are what keeps students motivated to study and learn. So we think that we have to grade students all the time. Oops, my slides disappeared. I don't know what happened. I don't know what happened with my slides. I can't see them. Can you see my slides, guys? I can't. Yeah. No, I can't see my slides. But then, so I'm just gonna talk about. I'm sorry.
Sorry, I just brought him back in.
Okay,
Do you have it back? No.
yes, I do. Sorry. Okay, so we think that grades are what keeps students motivated to study and learn. So we think that we have to grade everything we do, and that everything has to result in a numerical grade and not in feedback. We confuse grade with feedback. We can give feedback without giving grades, and we can give grades without giving feedback. So grades are not what keeps students motivated to study and learn. What keeps students motivated to study and learn is what we do with them in the classroom, how we engage them, how meaningful our classes are, how meaningful the feedback we give, how meaningful the assessments that we provide them are for students, and how they really provide evidence of what they have learned and what they need to excel in. And finally, this is also a belief that I hear a lot: offering reassessment opportunities does not prepare students for the real world. I'm sorry, but in the real world, we have a lot of chances. We have chances to fail and to start again. It's only in very rare high stakes situations that we have just one chance to do something. And this is not the real world. These are probably 3 or 4 or 5 times in our whole lives. Most of the times in our lives, we have chances, and we can redo things, and we can start again. So why can't our students have the chance to take tests again if they didn't do well, to do exercises or activities or projects again if they didn't do well? We have to empower our students. And so I'm really in favor of mastery learning, which makes sure everybody learns and does not leave anyone behind. And I think we should all give this a thought and reflect upon what our mental models of assessment are doing with our students, and what they're leading our students to think about assessment, we have to examine these models, we have to question them, and we have to change them by discussing them, by making them visible. Thank you very much.